All right, now we're gonna cover steps 4, 5, and 6 for leading a Eureka expedition for the older or younger elementary kids. So if you missed steps 1 through 3, make sure you jump back to the other how to lead video before you come here, all right? All right, here we go, step 4. So step number 4 is called hear it. So here's where you're going to read the passage to your kids. You can either read it straight from your Bible, or if it's kind of a long Bible story, remember inside your leader's guide, you have the Eureka Bible passage, where we have a shortened, abridged version of the Bible passage. So you can just read that. And you're gonna read it to your kids, have them get in a comfortable position where they can just sit and relax and listen. Just encourage them to picture the things that are happening in the story and to just quiet themselves and calm themselves, and they can just listen to you read the story. That's all that happens. They're just going to hear it. That's step 4. All right, now it's time for step 5. We call it tell it. This is one of my favorite parts of any Eureka expedition. This is where you are going to retell the Bible story. This is where your kids are going to get active and have a ton of fun in the process. So in your leader's guide, step 5, it has 2 options, 2 ways that you can tell a story. So for this one, there's either so much drama, or there's one called You Hear That? So as a class, you will decide which one you want to do. So after you've decided which one you're going to do, then what happens? Well, let's use So Much Drama, for example. So Much Drama appears every other week, and it's a super simple way to tell the Bible story. On the other side of your leader's guide, just across the page there, is the So Much Drama script. Here's how it works. At the top, it says cast, and it's gonna tell you how many actors you're gonna need. This one needs 3. So you'll have 3 kids volunteer to be actors. They'll come up to the front of the classroom, and then you, as the leader, will begin to read this script. There's no memorization for the kids. You don't need any props. In fact, you don't have to tell them anything they need to get started. They'll just come up. They're gonna know what character they are. So this one has Noah, God, and dove. So you have a volunteer who's gonna be Noah, one God, and one will be the dove. They will come up and they'll just stand up in the front, and then you will start reading, and the kids will act out whatever instructions you give them as you're reading the script. No pressure, no memorization. Just get up and go. Don't even practice. That's the best part of this. You just see what happens. So let's read the first one. God paced back and forth. So the kid would walk back and forth. See how easy this is? So you'll do that all the way through, and that's how you will retell that Bible story. It's a lot of fun. There'll be a lot of laughs. There's some fun things that happen in these stories. I've done these over 100 times, at least, and kids love it every time. Once you do this once, and kids learn and understand, and they know kind of what happens, the next time you do it, everyone is going to want to participate. Trust me, it's a ton of fun. Now, this is just one of the tell it methods. We actually have about 8 or 9 per age level of different options. So next week, on week 2, you will have 2 different options up here of ways that you can tell the story. And the instructions for how to tell those stories are on the back of your leader guide, right here. So here's the instructions for how to play So Much Drama, and here's the instructions for You Hear That. Now here's the awesome things. Here's where the confidence as a leader comes in. Once you have led each of these tell it methods a couple, 3 times, you won't even need these instructions on the back. You will see the 2 options, and you'll know, just like that, exactly what to do. You don't have to try to relearn a new activity all the time. Super stress-free, right? And if you have a little longer time period that you need to fill, you can totally do both of them. You don't have to just do one. You can even do the same one twice. So if you have a big class and a lot of kids wanted to be an actor but they didn't get to, you can do the So Much Drama a second time with different kids as actors. Here's the other thing. You can go to foundryleader.com and you can see the instructions for all 9 tell it methods. So if you look at your 2 options for the week and the kids are like, oh, we don't like those, you can pull out one of the other tell it methods and you can do one of those. Now here's the thing. Some of the tell it methods, there's some decisions that you have to make. For example, some of them say divide the story up into 3 parts and create a scene for each of those 3 parts of the stories. As a group, you need to talk about and discuss how to divide up the story into 3 different scenes. Now, it would be easy for you as a leader to just decide that before class, but don't do that. Resist the temptation. Instead, have all your kids look at their Eureka Bible passage, which is also in their discovery guide, and say, all right, we need to divide this up into 3 parts. How should we do this? What are the 3 most important scenes in this story? And then as a class, you can decide what are the 3 most important scenes. As kids say, oh, I think this is an important part, we need to talk about this, or I think this is a more important part. That's part of how they will learn the story, actually interacting and making some of those acting decisions. So make sure and let the kids participate in that decision-making process. And some of the Tell It methods have instructions to do different things during different parts of the story. That's why the Eureka Bible passage is divided up into usually 7 or 8 different sections, A, B, C, D, and so forth. And that's why they're different colors for each paragraph. So for example, we have a Tell It method called Doodle Mix. And that's where you will have 8 or 9 different index cards, and kids will illustrate, kind of draw a picture of each section of the Bible story. So they'll illustrate section A, section B, and on down the list, different kids can draw a picture of each one. Then you'll mix up all those index cards, and then you'll see how fast you can pull them out and put them in order in which they appear in the Bible story. So that's why the Eureka Bible passage is divided up like this. Now, as you're doing this, let's say your class invents a brand new Tell It method, a brand new way of acting out the story. Guess what you can do? Go to the Facebook group, Eureka Curriculum Teachers and Leaders, and share it with everyone else so they can also use that super cool idea. So that is the Tell It methods. I think you have a lot of fun. This is one of the heart and souls of Eureka, so enjoy it and let us know how it goes. That's step 5. So once you've finished your Tell It method or your Tell It activity, it's time to move on to step 6. We call it Embrace It. Now this is a time for everyone to take a break. You know, step 5, those Tell It methods, sometimes they can be a little high energy, which is awesome. But now it's time to slow things down, and Embrace It gives kids a chance to do just that. So everyone's gonna take a breath. And then what's gonna happen is you are going to give kids a few minutes just to quietly think about the story on their own. Now this is younger elementary, and if some of them are kind of learning to read, you can let them know that they can read the story again on their own if they'd like to. Or they can just sit quietly and just think about the story. Just kind of picture it in their head. Now, this might be new for some kids, especially younger elementary kids. They may not be used to coming to church and sitting there quietly. So here's all you gotta do. All you gotta do is just start small. So you're gonna start with 15 seconds of quiet time, and you'll do that for a few weeks. Then you'll extend it to 30 seconds of quiet time. And eventually you can build up to about a minute of quiet time for your younger elementary kids. And that's a time when they can just take a breath and get in a comfortable position and just think about the story. Now for older elementary kids, you are gonna give them a chance to just read through the story on their own. So they're gonna take their discovery guides. If they wanna find a part of the classroom that can belong just to them for a few minutes, they can do that. And they're just going to read the story on their own. And of course, if it's a shorter story, they can just read it from their own Bibles if they'd like to do that. They're gonna read it on their own, they're gonna think about it, and in their discovery guide, there's a little blank section here called What Notes. And as they're reading, if there's something in there that they have a question about, they can write it down so they don't forget. If they see a word in there they don't understand, they can write that down. If they discover something that they think is important, they can write that down on here so that they don't forget that either. And the older elementary kids, they can have this quiet time last probably 3 to 5 minutes, really. And again, it's the same process. If your kids aren't ever used to doing this, start slow. Start at 30 seconds or less even. And each week, add a few more seconds to it. And before you know it, it may take a few weeks, maybe a couple months, but you will be able to build up to having 5 minutes of quiet time where kids are used to just sitting there quietly, reading through the story on their own, looking for things and little notes that they want to take to get ready for the discussion time. Okay, there you go. That's steps 4, 5, and 6. Now the last video, we're going to talk about steps 7, 8, and 9. And this is kind of the heart of a Eureka lesson. This is where we're going to really dig into the scripture and have a lot of discussion and a lot of questions. And I'm going to follow a lot of curiosity. So you won't want to miss that. Check out that next video, steps 7, 8, and 9.